All right, it looks like we are live. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever in the world you are, welcome. I hope it's going well. Thank you so much for tuning into this very special segment of Talks Talks. Now, if you've seen Talks Talks before, you've met me and you've met Fiorella. My name is Alex. I'm with the Washington Poison Center. Fiorella's with the Virginia Poison Center. Now, we are so lucky to be joined by two fabulous folks today. Amanda, who is an MSN, an RN, a C-Spy, that's Certified Specialist in Poison Information, not espionage, mind you. She is a Community Outreach Coordinator with the Missouri Poison Center, and also joined by Deanna, who's an MD, MBA, Senior C-Spy at the Georgia Poison Center. Now, Fiorella, how's Virginia looking these days? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Well, woke up to really foggy skies, but it's clearing up this weekend. It's going to be, I think, up in the 70s. So I'm really excited about that.
Seattle hasn't seen the 70s in a while. We'll get there someday, maybe. Now, Deanna, how's Georgia doing? How are you doing over there?
The typical rainy day in Georgia, like literally rainy and hot, muggy, steamy, just a perfect weather for snakes.
And Amanda, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. It's Poison Prevention Week, so I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. That's a wonderful segue. It is National Poison Prevention Week. Now, the whole point of National Poison Prevention Week is to educate and celebrate poison prevention everywhere. But we do that every day at poison centers. Now, right here, you're looking at representation from 4 poison centers across the country. We have a whole lot, though, in our larger network. We are 4 of 55 total poison centers. Now, we have kind of a unique segment today. What we're going to do is demonstrate a couple of mock calls. So these aren't real calls or anything. You're gonna see us get into our acting mode, and we'll kind of walk you through what you might expect on a typical call to a poison center. Before we do that, though, let's set the settings, I guess, set the context. So we define poison so broadly at poison centers or poison control centers, whichever one you want to use. And I was doing a live stream earlier this week, and one of the Washington C-Spies made a really great point that most folks, when they hear poison, they think of like mystery novel, like arsenic or cyanide or something like that. And yes, those are poisons. We don't want anyone exposed to those. But we define poison so much broader. For us, a poison is anything that could potentially harm you if it's used in the wrong way, in the wrong amount, or by the wrong person. And so we're going to show you some things that you may not have thought of as a typical poison in these mock calls. Now, you keep hearing me say call and call center and call taker. That's because the single thing that unites all of us stronger than any other is our telephone helpline. Now, this is a national toll-free number you're going to see scrolling at the bottom there at 1-800-222-1222. Don't forget that one. That's a very important number there. You can call that anytime, and you'll be routed to your local poison center based on your area code. Doesn't matter if you get routed to a different one based on where you're at. Totally fine. They can still help you out just the same. All right, folks, I've rambled a lot. Any other qualifiers or prefaces or anything before we dive into our first mock call?
I'm ready.
Perfect. I love it. All right. While we're doing this, if anyone needs to, feel free to put a comment in the chat box. Totally fine. We should be able to see it, so ask questions that way. Otherwise, without further ado, Fiorella and Amanda, take it away.
All right. Missouri Poison Center, this is Amanda, a registered nurse. How can I help you?
Hi, my name is Fiorella. I'm not sure if he did, but my kid, he may have eaten one of those disc batteries. I found him, it's only 3, and I found him, he pulled down an all clock and popped the back open, and so I'm a little scared.
Okay, I'm glad you called. We're going to want to act pretty quickly on this. Those bigger batteries can be a little bit concerning. Is he having any breathing or choking concerns?
No, he's breathing fine.
Good. And how long ago did this happen?
I think just a few minutes ago.
Okay. Is he having any drooling or trouble speaking?
No.
Good, good. This is all good. So disc batteries can be a concern if they become lodged in the esophagus, which is also the food pipe. And this can cause a burn or even leakage of the battery. And so because of this risk, we want to make sure that he's checked out and he gets an x-ray to make sure we know where the battery is located. And so we can determine the next steps. So I'm going to need you to take him to the nearest emergency room. Is there one nearby that I can call ahead for you?
Yeah, the Children's Hospital is actually not too far from us.
Great, great. And do you have another battery at home that you can bring that's the same size or from the same package?
Yes, I actually have a bunch of them. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so bring that along to the hospital so they can visualize the size of the battery as well.
Okay.
Okay, and because I'm going to call ahead, I would like to get your son's name and birth date, if that's okay.
Yeah, his name is Jackson. His birthday is June 1st, 2018.
Great. And you can also call us if you have any additional questions, and I'll go ahead and call the hospital right now for you.
Okay, yes, thank you. I will. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
And I was muted. I always forget where that darn button is. You'd think I'd be better at it after a year doing remote work. And welcome back, Deanna. We're so happy the tech issue got resolved.
Welcome to 2020, 2021.
Exactly. It wouldn't be a proper live stream without someone muted, without someone booted and having to come back. We're just creating an authentic experience for the viewers at home. Oh, right. But Fiorella and Amanda, that was excellent. Thank you guys for doing that. And once again, any viewers who have questions, hit us up with that. We'll see the comments come through. Now, this one is really interesting because I think most folks wouldn't think of a battery as being potentially poisonous. And before I started working with the Washington Poison Center, I couldn't have told you that. I would be like, oh, what's the problem? It's a piece of metal. But I really like how you walk through the leakage, and that's a fun word that can go wrong with batteries like that. All right, so now this particular setup, this caller happened to have that battery pack ready, right, so that they could bring it into the ER and everything. And I think that brings us to a good point that having as much info as possible is always best, right? Because that helps the spy, the call taker, help you as much as possible. Even if you don't have that, though, still call. Please call, and they can still help. That is what we're here for. Now, anything that any of us want to add on button batteries or this type of call before we move on to our second mock call?
I mean, I would just say that, it's important to take action with those and young children because they are and can be serious. Not every child that swallows one, needs absolute emergent care because sometimes they can pass them on their own, but we wouldn't know that unless that x-ray was performed. And then we'd also monitor for symptoms. So this is definitely one we don't want kiddos to get into, but if they do, it's definitely important to take action. And like Alex said, just to call and just to get the ball rolling really helps. So we can work with the hospital directly and get them on standby for you and kind of get the ball rolling so that when you arrive that treatment can start right away if necessary.
I'm really glad you made that point that a lot of times you guys can call ahead and let paramedics know or the ER know that they're coming, that they're en route.
Right. Yeah, it's important to kind of do that. It's part of our role is to kind of follow the patient through the whole thing. So we would also be providing any information or literature material that they need, and then also checking in with the hospital after they're either in the ER or admitted to a hospital too. So we work a lot with physicians and ERs, nurses.
Excellent. Thanks for mentioning that. Now, I also should have said at the very beginning of all of this, when you call the Poison Center, it's not a Zoom call. You're going to call with your phone. So we won't be looking at each other like this kind of thing. So just keep that in mind if you ever have to call that 800 number. Not going to connect to a camera or anything. Any last thoughts before we move on to our second scenario?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, just as a mom, because I have two little ones, make sure, I know a lot of toys have started adding the extra security that we all hate at Christmas time, but it has that screw in place to try to make it so it's not as accessible for the battery. So even though it may be convenient to leave something like that off, that just adds an extra layer of security for your child if you're not able to watch them every second while they're playing.
I think that's a really excellent point, and so much of but adding as much time, adding time onto that is always a good thing, especially depending on the kid and how curious they are about the new toy. All right, so this is going to be a very different scenario. Deanna, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so I got my prop here.
Thank you for calling Georgia Poison Center. My name is Deanna. How may I help you?
Hi, I'm really sorry to bother you guys, but I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm freaking out a little bit.
Okay, no problem. All your information is private and confidential, protected by HIPAA. Take a deep breath and let's just start with your name.
Okay, I can do that. My name is Alex Leroy.
All right, Alex, tell me what's going on.
Okay, well, my roommates and I, we were hanging out and we were kind of goofing around a little bit, and one thing led to another, and we got kind of stupid and started daring each other to do things, right? And they ended up daring me to eat. Those little packets that say "don't ingest" or "don't eat." Those, I think they're silica or something. Well, I ate one of those. I just swallowed the whole thing, and I don't know what to do with that.
Okay. Well, Alex, thank you for explaining all of that. Tell me, did the packet go all the way down or is it stuck in your throat?
Well, it went all the way down. It's not stuck or anything, but I'm pretty sure it's in my gut, and I just don't know is it going to poison me? Is it going to explode? I don't know what silica is supposed to do.
So, this is a good thing. The biggest concern with those packets is that they can be a choking hazard, especially for small children. So since it's not blocking your airway, since you're able to talk pretty quickly, and it doesn't seem like it's stuck in your throat, you should be just fine. One thing we can always do is have you take a sip of water, make sure you don't have any coughing or choking.
Okay, I can do that. I'm going to have a sip now. Okay, no choking. Everything's going down. Okay, whew, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. And you guys are jerks for messing with me that way. I'm so happy you helped.
Alex, I'm very pleased that you called. It's always good to call and check. For your records, I have your name. What's the zip code you're calling from?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm calling from where am I? I'm in 30303.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Please feel free to call back if you have any questions, any concerns at any point, or any other questions about poisons. Don't hesitate to call us back. We're here 24/7, and that's exactly what we're here for.
Oh, absolutely. You guys rock. I'm telling everyone to save your number. This was amazing. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. All right. Well, thank you for tuning into our second scenario there. Again, hit us with any questions in the comment section as you have. Now, we wanted to give you an example of a situation that would seem really, really alarming to the caller, but it really, at the end of the day, has very little concern for toxicity. And we also wanted to demonstrate that folks of any age can call. It doesn't have to be about kids. Then, we had kind of a lot of fun putting that particular one together. Got to embrace my high school drama club days. But we do want to make the point, too, that there's never any shame in calling the Poison Center. There's never any judgment in calling us, and that is absolutely fine. And I think Deanna did a really great job of chilling out very, very freaked out hyper Alex in that scenario. Are there any other thoughts that Fiorella, Amanda, Deanna, y'all have that you'd like to share?
I would just say that, a lot of people are nervous to call or think that it's something we've never heard before. And for any person who's worked on the hotline, any Spire that's been on the hotline knows that these things don't surprise us. We've heard a lot of funny stories. We've heard a lot of oops moments. So it's not anything we probably haven't heard before and won't hear again. So we're all human, and we take that perspective when we talk to you as well.
I think it was great, and great acting as well. But it really does, show all the variety of calls that we get. I mean, just like you said. I mean, prank calls and doing something, or perhaps someone dare you to do something, and then obviously kiddos getting into stuff too. We get that a lot too.
Yeah, I would just say, like Alex said, there's no shame. So be as fully disclosing or honest as you can be, because that helps us really assess you well to make sure it's not something we need to really be concerned about. There's just no judgment. So I want you to feel like you can have a private conversation with us, because your information, it stays with us, but it helps us to best manage your case.
Absolutely. And talking to anyone at the Poison Center, it's really like talking to a pharmacist, talking to your nurse, your doctor, like, 'cause they are pharmacists and nurses. And so the level of professionality and confidentiality is the same. Those laws that protect your privacy in a hospital setting or a doctor's setting apply to the Poison Center as well. So you can be as upfront and candid as you'd like. And the more info you have, the easier it is for everyone. Oh, hey, we're getting a question. All right, so I'll read it out loud for folks. What happens if someone invests too much fun brownies or cookies? Ingests too much fun brownies or cookies. I hear a lot of adults are overdosing during COVID. Now, I believe that this is in reference to cookies or brownies or edibles containing cannabis or marijuana. Both different terms meaning the same substance. So would either of our spies like to take a stab at that?
Sure. I mean, it's certainly, we're seeing that as states become more legalized. And I think the bigger concern we're now seeing is the children getting into edible candies, look-alike products that look a lot like something tasty, and eating more than a dose per se. And those children are having pretty serious side effects, extreme drowsiness and respiratory depression, pretty serious stuff, because it affects them much longer and also much more than an adult. So we've always had those calls from adults, but I do want to put it known that we also need to keep those products, any edible products, away out of reach of children, because their natural instinct is to eat something that looks tasty.
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Deanna.
Yeah, no, I was just going to agree with that. The greater concern is the children, because we've had a lot of those calls recently here in Georgia. And I mean, they're gummies, they're brownies, they're candies, and kids love candy. And, for the adult, they may be able to handle it and may calm them down. Before a child that's a lot smaller, it can be pretty detrimental. So just not using the same guideline you use for yourself, for your child in those, and that it can be potentially an emergency for a child. So always call us. We can try and help you out through that. And again, no judgment.
Absolutely. Thank you all. And in Washington State, we have all legal edibles, I should say, because we have legalized retail cannabis. They actually have the Poison Center number on the logo on the packaging. So we get quite a few edible specific calls, I think, because folks think, oh, I can call for this. So anytime there's ever any hesitation or uncertainty, just call. It never hurts.
Yeah, so I think the biggest focus with this would be, just store up away, just like you would store anything else that you consume that could be, poisonous for a child. You would store alcohol away. Same thing for your edibles.
Absolutely. All right. Do we have any other questions? Other comments? And it's not a problem if not, folks. If you end up doing a comment after the stream ends, we'll be able to see that and we'll be able to reply to it. So that is totally fine. And let's see. And just while we're waiting for any additional questions, I have a couple questions for anyone here, because I think this is important to help frame things. Now, when would you all say someone should call 911 instead of the Poison Center?
Yeah. So if there's ever, it's based on the patient that you're talking to, or that you're calling about or potentially calling about. If they are having any trouble breathing, if they are not conscious, if they're choking, things like that, where it's just a real emergency, we're concerned about their life and it being lost very quickly, like within the next seconds or minutes. Things like that kind of up the ante on bypassing Poison Center and calling 911, because 911 has us as well. They will help to get the patient stabilized, and then they will bring us in when the patient is stable. So I don't want you to feel like you have to choose between one or the other. We work well together, and 911 has called us many times with the caller on the line. But yeah, things like that, if they're not breathing, if they're not conscious, choking, things like that, we would say bypass us and call 911 first, and then we can be brought in the loop later.
Excellent. Thank you for saying that. All right, we got another question here. I heard kids are getting poisoned with hand sanitizer. How do we keep kids safe using hand sanitizer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, you know, we're obviously using it more and having it more accessible now in the pandemic, but it's important to, if you have young children, make sure it's put up in a way. We like to avoid those real attractive ones that have cartoon characters or real fun scents, or even the book bag or purse little packs if you have young children, because they can grab those easily. We're also wanting to make sure that you're supervising your child when they're applying the hand sanitizer, because, you know, we use it for young ones as well. So just to watch that, make sure it's rubbed in completely, and then that they're avoiding their eyes, and just using it with supervision.
Excellent. Thank you. That was a great question. And it's still as relevant now as it was at the beginning of the pandemic, because folks are still sanitizing and cleaning and disinfecting all the time.
Yeah, we're still getting those calls. So yes.
I would just say the one thing we've also noticed, as well as many poison centers, is more eye exposures with the hand sanitizers. So it's just, and that's part of some of the shortage that we had of hand sanitizer. We were having lots of companies make it, and some of the formulations were a little more liquid or runny, and so those would splash or spray in the eyes a little more easy. And also those pump dispensers on the wall are right at the eye level of many young children, so just kind of good use around those, and be careful for some of those splashes, because I think we've seen a lot more of those in the last year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll see. Wait just a chunk of time to see if we get more questions, and it's not a problem if we don't. My favorite action item for everyone after doing any of these is, if you haven't yet, take that number you see scrolling at the bottom, the Poison Center number, put it in your phone, tattoo it on your arm, whatever it is you need so that you have it and you remember it. Oh, there you go. You got the Poison Help sticker on the back of your phone, Fiorella. That's great. Or if you have a better memory than me, just lock it in so that you can call it should you ever need it. And if you notice me swooshing my hair, I'm sure so many folks, am in desperate need of a haircut because I've not had a proper one this entire pandemic. So that's something I'm really looking forward to post-vaccination is getting this all tended to.
Alex, I just wanted to mention that whatever you are, there is going to be a Poison Center for you. So if you like stickers or magnets, you can actually call your Poison Center and let them know that's what you want. They're ask for your educator over there, and they'll send you. It's free, so it's good for you. Always keep them handy.
Oh no, we're getting another question actually, but it may be a little too long to properly put on the screen. Oh, hey, I stand corrected. There we go. So I'll go ahead and read this out loud for everyone. A big concern I always have is mixing of chemicals. That's a great concern. For example, I don't like to use a lot of harsh chemical cleaners. Therefore, I use Dawn and water on my hard floors. One time though, my husband used a moist Swiffer pad over it. He said it smelled and got a headache. I was concerned. Should I be? I always get told to be concerned about bleach and ammonia, but get concerned about others. It's a great question.
Yeah, so I would say mixing chemicals in general, not all mixtures are, how do I put this? Not all mixtures are harmful, but mixtures can still be irritants, if that makes sense. The bleach and ammonia, sure, that's one that we all learn about because it produces this chloramine gas. It produces this gas effect that can really cause headaches and dizziness. But a lot of people have sensitivities just to simple chemicals being mixed on a regular. So my caution would be is if you've done something and it's causing you to have symptoms or causing you to feel off, I would be safe and just give us a call. We can always check and see if it's something we need to be more concerned about, make some recommendations on how to clean it up and open up windows. That's always a great thing you can do, is to get some fresh air circulating, or if you're dizzy or short of breath, go outside and get some fresh air yourself. Make sure someone knows so they can keep an eye on you. But I would always say call. If it's something that starts to irritate you, bother you in any way, call just to make sure that it's not something we need to heighten our concern about.
Yeah, and bleach and a lot of products, really, most products should never be mixed with anything but water to dilute it. Mixing two chemicals does not make it better or stronger necessarily. It puts people at risk. So really the only thing that you should ever be mixing things with is only to dilute with water only. So yeah, it's just a good practice to use one cleaner on one surface.
Absolutely. And I think that's such crucial information, especially these days when there's so much very easily accessible misinformation out there about how to protect yourself from COVID and a variety of other things. So if you're ever uncertain, call the Poison Center, and also follow the directions, read the label. If it says don't mix, just don't mix. That's a good way to go for it. All right. Oh, perfect. Absolutely. Good deal.
Yeah, second.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it happens. It definitely, it does. And products can be so different. It could be, a new ingredient added to a product that has the same name, and it could be like in small letters, and then that completely changes what the product is sometimes. So, yes, definitely read the labels. And if you're concerned, give us a call.
All right, thank you. All right, well, we got a few more minutes left. We can hang out during that time, see if anyone sends us any other questions. These are great ones. Keep them coming if you have any others.
Yeah, and I was just going to piggyback off of what Fiorella said. Definitely, when you call us, try and have the products available if they are, because how she mentioned, like for instance, Lysol. Lysol makes thousands of cleaning products, and they each have their own specific chemical composition or formulation. And that slightest change or addition of Lysol with bleach may change the complete picture. So it's always best and helpful if you guys, with medications, even products, if you can have the products there with you when you're making a call into us, that's going to really help us to give the best advice and the most tailored advice for what's going on for the situation.
That's a great point.
And the other thing I want to mention is that you can just call with a question. We've talked a lot here about what to do after something happens, but poison centers are great places to call to ask those questions ahead of time. So maybe asking what you can mix with that, or what medicine can you take if you're pregnant, can I take this, or do these medicines interact with each other? These are great questions that your poison center can answer for you, especially given that we're 24 hours a day and we are available even on holidays and weekends. So it's just, you don't have to have that urgent emergency to use a poison center. I think a lot of people don't understand that. So
yeah, we love preventive care calls. We love those calls.
Oh yes. Better to have the prevention than the exposure.
Correct.
Yeah, wonderful point. Thank you for saying that.
Right.
That also applies to, it's not just cleaners. That could be a supplement you're considering to take or something like that. You can ask about potential interactions with other medications you have. And there's a whole side of the Poison Center that deals with medication management as well. So
Right.
many facets you never thought of. Go ahead, Deanna.
Yeah, I was just going to say breastfeeding and medications. That's another big one we get calls on, that a lot of moms can call us about, and we can check and see.
Great. Aw.
Aw, yay.
Aw.
Thanks, Lisa. That's nice.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's nice to hear, huh? Yeah.
I think that's the best part of our job, is to hear that, after that freak out moment and that scary situation, is that you get that moment of calm once they realize that things are going to be okay. And 9 times out of 10, things do end up very well, especially with children. We keep people at home if we can. We keep you out of the emergency room, and we'll follow up and make sure that you're doing okay. And that's really reassuring to hear those things, and that once that panic happens, that you know, that they're comforted and that they have their questions answered.
I think that's a really important piece, like bringing the emotional piece into this, that, you know, there is so much continued stress, chronic stress, from so many directions right now. And if you can have just a little bit of relief from that, then that's really huge. That's powerful. All right, folks, I think we've hit our 30-minute mark. So we can clearly just keep chatting all day. But please hit us up with any questions. Feel free to give your local poison center a call to ask these questions. Feel free to put it in the comment section. Now, if you have an emergency, don't leave it in the comment. Call the poison center. Oh, we're getting one final one. Very good. As the weather gets nicer and people get ready for work in their yards, is there any advice on weed killers and potential dangers?
Yeah, so I mean, I can just add, you know, how we've reiterated before, always follow the directions on the bottle. That's going to be your best rule of thumb for all of these things. Definitely make sure you're protecting yourself if it's something that requires a mask, or making sure you're out in open air where it's not going to be where the fumes can get you in a closed room. Just using some of those precautions of protective gear, making sure you're in fresh air, making sure you're washing your hands afterwards so that you don't go in and contaminate by picking up a sandwich or chips. Keeping things in their labeled bottle. That's probably the biggest one, I would say. You know, you'll share some with your sister or your brother and put it in a container, but then someone accidentally drinks out of that container and we're scrambling to figure out what it is. So just trying to keep things in their properly labeled bottle, protective gear, fresh air, and following directions would be my best take on it.
Great advice.
I guess for, you know, if they're planning on using some of this, they could also reach out to NPIC, which is the National Pesticide Information Center. So that would be for you know, information that they would like regarding this weed killers or anything like that.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that resource. All right. Oh, yay! More heart emojis. Yay!
We're extending our stay here, 30 minutes.
I know we are.
We enjoy this.
Do you all have any final National Poison Prevention Week tips before we go ahead and wrap up the stream?
I would just say make sure that number is saved in your phone. We've talked about it, and that is really the number one thing we can encourage anyone to do, is just take a second scrolling on the bottom of the screen now. Just put it in your phone and make sure you have it when you need us.
And we, again, are 24/7. I can attest to that. And we are here for you. Call us with, even if your question seems like it's not important or it seems like it's frivolous or stupid, there's no stupid question. So call us.
No, I just wanted to say, you know, thank you. And this is our very important week, National Poison Prevention Week. So if you like this stream, feel free to share it on your own account. So hopefully we'll get more people to access it and hopefully get the information out.
We got at least one person added it to their phone. Excellent. Well done, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan.
All right. Perfect. Well, I think you all said it perfectly. Add that number to your phone, and thank you for joining us today. Stay safe. Thanks, everyone.